I first started researching Cuba when I was writing a book about a small biography of Milton Hershey. And as you heard earlier, Milton Hershey owned 60,000 acres in Cuba. And I was fascinated by the article I was writing was for Cigar Aficionado. So he smoked Cuban cigars. And I wanted to go visit Hershey, Cuba, as part of the biography I was writing, and was told I couldn't. And so I started researching travel to Cuba back in the mid-1990s. I had an opportunity, though, in 2001 to go to Cuba to play baseball. A group of older baseball players from the United States going to Cuba to play against retired Cuban baseball players, and have been there in the last nearly 20 years 12 times, and have played baseball in almost every Cuban Major League Stadium, have traveled the entire country of Cuba from Guantanamo Bay all the way to Havana and Cienfuegos. In those trips have made many great friends, and Miguel's one of them. I'm so honored that he's here. The Cuban people are the most gracious, hospitable, loving, kind, giving people I've ever met, and I've traveled all over the world. And they love the principles of America. They love baseball. They love the hospitality. I believe that the relations between the United States and Cuba, it's time for the embargo to end. It's time for the isolationist policies to end. The United States of America is very unique in the way we make amends and forgive those who we may have been opposed to in wars, and dating back to our Revolutionary War, when only decades later we're fighting alongside the British against the French. We helped rebuild Japan. We trade with Vietnam. Our relationship with the historic summit that the president's taking place in right now with North Korea. There is no reason why we should not diplomatically and economically reach back out to Cuba and begin a friendship between governments which already exists between the people. So I'm proud to lend my support to engage Cuba. I've been to Cuba enough that I know that they import 80% of their goods. We even see Coca-Cola cans every once in a while. It's no match for the Cristal and the Bucanero. I believe that we should be sending Pennsylvania dairy products to Cuba in exchange for cigars, but that's a whole other story. But I just urge all my colleagues and our delegation in the United States Congress to keep an open mind about Cuba. And America is founded upon the freedom, which includes the freedom to travel and to do commerce. And American citizens ought to be able to go to Cuba if they want, and American businesses ought to be able to do trade with Cuba if they want. So I thank you for letting me be part of today, and I'm happy to answer any questions anybody has about Cuba. It's the most wonderful place in the world outside of the United States.